Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F124 Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. We are coming off of a 4th place career high finish in the Netherlands from Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix, after a disastrous effort from Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing. And that landed me a brief phone call to touch bases with McLaren's ZAK Brown.
Pleasure to talk to you, Gary. I just want to touch basis with you on your situation for next year. What does it look like?
Yeah, nice to talk to you, Zach. I'll be real. I got 2 offers so far from, Williams and an extension there, and as well, Trackhouse, the new team. They are looking to offer me something here very soon, like a concrete offer.
Okay, I love what you're doing. Please don't sign anything yet. Can we meet at the next Grand Prix weekend?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, see you then.
So there you have it. 3 teams now interested. Williams looking at extending our contract. Trackhouse, the new 11th team, looking at signing us long-term, and we'll have to wait until the next episode to kind of get an idea of what McLaren wants. But after our epic performance in Zandvoort with 4th place effort, and as well, outrunning Oscar Piastri, not necessarily even a surprise, considering his struggles right now, that McLaren is looking at offering us a potential deal. Nonetheless, we come into the historic Monza circuit here for the Italian Grand Prix, and Ferrari has rolled into this weekend with a special yellow-inspired livery to run on track now. And last episode, we saw Red Bull run a Dutch Grand Prix-inspired livery for specifically Max Verstappen, but Perez, of course, had that livery on as well, and it was a pretty disastrous day for Red Bull Racing. However, Perez did end up on the podium, but Charles Leclerc, more importantly, got his first win of the season, while Verstappen ended up P10 with a time penalty, and as well Alonso and Norris hit with the same time penalty, 10 seconds each, for allegedly crossing the pit exit line, when we know that did not happen, and we had evidence that that did not happen. So 3 penalties that were quite wrongfully handed out, and the FIA came out this week and actually just said, hey, what happened. They acknowledged they had actually made a mistake, but they couldn't do anything about it. So Verstappen, Alonso, Norris wrongfully penalized for sure, but there wasn't anything that could really be done. We end FP1 and P4, P8 for myself and our Williams teammate of Alex Albon. And coming into qualifying, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be heavy rain conditions all qualifying long. I don't really see this condition often when it comes to qualifying, where it's actually raining the whole way through in these F1 games. Usually it starts wet and ends dry, or vice versa. Never really raining the whole way through. Now in F123, the rain was one of the things I look forward to. So far I've been struggling a little bit in the rain in F124, but hopefully we can kind of change things this weekend here, coming off of all that momentum. As we go behind the camera on the left side, I didn't realize how screwed up my lighting was when I started recording this video, so I apologize there. I was recording at night, and yeah, I didn't realize how screwed up the lighting was, so you're just gonna have to bear through that here in qualifying and a little bit later in the Grand Prix as well. But my first lap here in Q1, just kind of getting acclimated with the circuit, with the wet conditions now, trying to find some, wet weather magic, really. Albon currently P16, not looking great at the moment, but the end of my first lap, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible either. We're going to round this final turn. George Russell only P19 right now, and we beat him, and we beat Pierre Gasly. We only go P18, however. So running another lap here, and this is where we start to make the gains. I figured out where I need to be, and we're going to start finding the time that we need to find, and we found a lot of time. We were 9/10 of a second improved as we come towards the final half of this lap. So I was pretty confident if we could just maintain this, and now it was 1.4 and nearly 1.5 seconds improvement, we should be able to cruise through into Q2. We cross the stripe, we go P8, and that will be in fact enough to get through into the next qualifying session. But Albon only ends up P19, and it was because of a Sector 3 mistake. He was actually tracking faster in both the first 2 sectors and would have made it, but I believe he had a lockup or something in that final sector because it was way off. Nonetheless, we advance, so again, we're going to out-qualify our teammate of Alex Albon. We've been doing quite decent in the rivalry against him here in recent episodes now, and of course, last episode, with all the points we gained. We're nearly double the points of Albon now because of all the luck we got in that last episode. As we're coming through towards the end of our first lap in Q2, and we only managed P11, so again, need to find a bit more time, and we didn't really find the time until the tail end of the lap. There's a 1/10 of a second gain, and on that run through the final long sweeping right-hander, 2/10, 3/10 of a second gain. Is this going to be enough to put us through into Q3? 3.5 of a second. We go P8, and we would just barely have enough to hang on. P9, as Oscar Piastri is out in Q2 over Tsunoda, Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo, as well as Nico Hülkenberg. And this is why McLaren is looking at us, and Zach Brown reached out to us before this weekend now, and like I said, we'll be having a meeting with him coming up in the next episode, so we'll kind of see how things develop now as we come through into our actually one and only lap in Q3 here. I was so satisfied with this lap, I didn't bother to run a second. I knew about this point in the lap I wasn't going to be able to do better. This was nearly a perfect lap, and we go around that long sweeping right-hander for the final time. Very happy with what we have. We've been finding some wet magic today. To the line, what is it going to be? It's going to be top of the board. No, not quite. Leclerc P1, myself P2, and it would stick for P3 on the grid. Charles Leclerc on pole in Ferrari's home over Verstappen and myself. What a qualifying effort as we find magic in the rain. Let's head to the grid on Sunday.
Welcome to the home of the Parabolica, now known as the Curva Alboreto, in tribute to the Italian motorsport legend Michele Alboreto. It's a long right-hander. It dares you to keep your foot as far down on the throttle as you possibly can. It's one of the great corners on the calendar, and we're here at Monza, ahead of the Italian Grand Prix. With top speeds up to 215 and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Golden Boy, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Gasly, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Sainz, Magnussen, Joe, Bottas, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me today, former Formula One driver and former world champion too. See, told you I'd give you a big intro. Anthony Davidson, hello. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Okay, Gary, keep your cool here. Remember, the car will be slower than these guys around you in the dry. Don't overdrive the car.
Yeah, 10-4. I know, James. It's going to be a lot of going backwards for us here. We'll be starting on the medium compound tire, switching over to the hards, a one-stop strategy here today in Monza. But like James said, just keep our cool, be patient as we get ready to take off in Monza.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. As the cars come back towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can, and they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, failing that, within the points.
All right, mate, you already heard James there, and I echo his comments. Just try to stay in the DRS, and we're going to score more points.
You hear Mark there. Just stay in the DRS. We know we're going to be slower than a lot of the cars around us now. Williams, as Albon comes up to the back of the grid with a grid penalty and after a poor qualifying effort. You saw the R&D as well. We are just about right there now with Mercedes, which is quite surprising coming into this Grand Prix. But here we go. Charles Leclerc home for Ferrari leads the way as we're lights out and racing from row 2. It's a lightning start from the Dutchman. Verstappen wheel to wheel, and now in the background there you saw Norris show the nose on Perez, who covers him off. Into turn number 1, it's side by side for the lead, side by side for third. Now as we both, myself and Leclerc, run up over that left side curbing, Perez gets the power down. We drop to P4 immediately. Verstappen to the lead, now silencing the Italian crowd. As you can see, Fernando Alonso settling in as well behind Lando Norris, as we're just going to kind of settle in ourselves. Like I said, we know we're probably going to spend the majority of this race going in a backwards direction in terms of positions, because, well, our car is not that quick. We're going to be paying a lot of attention to Alex Albon as well, and his progress has started 20th up to P19 so far now. But like I said, in the R&D, we come into this Grand Prix with a pretty well equal car to Mercedes, and we haven't been doing anything crazy. We've been just consistently bringing upgrades to the car, but we haven't been really risking anything, trying to rush anything. It's just been a smooth flow, and it's really looking good for Williams right now, and that kind of entices me to maybe consider that contract extension going into next season. A bit of a tank slapper there on that final sweeping right-hander. They're side by side for the lead. Verstappen and Charles Leclerc with the DRS trains are going to see a lot of stupidity here today. That's just a simple reality, as we see that typical ghosting at the end of lap 1. Fortunately, the only time we're going to see that, but Leclerc back to the point now leads in Monza. But this is going to be an interesting race because, like I said, that DRS train, you're going to see so much back and forth, so much fighting at certain parts, but there's still going to be some separation, but definitely not enough. Even though that patch came out to increase separation between AI, I can confirm it really didn't do that great of a job, so I'm still going to be planning to use that mod that changes the dirty air and the DRS and whatnot. We've already lost a spot there to Fernando Alonso, who now puts himself into P4 as well after passing Lando Norris. But look at this, I mean, my goodness, Perez nearly into the back of Charles Leclerc, now the Australian Grand Prix winner, and we might find ourselves a three-wide battle at the front now, as Leclerc, no DRS of course, but Verstappen and Perez, they're going to split them three wide around the outside, both sides of that yellow themed Ferrari. Now Sergio Perez to the point, but Verstappen has the preferred lane, as he's going to now take the lead back from Sergio, so Perez will jump down to P2, Leclerc down to third, but I'm sure we are far from over when it comes to battles for the lead. You can see my pace, yeah, it's just not quite where I need it to be right now, but you know, the battling, the constant, consistent battling lap after lap is exactly what I need to keep me in the mix, but that's not what we need. A bit of a slip and slide off the curbing, and now that allows Lando Norris to my left side, and I'm just going to let him go. I know he's faster. My chances of getting back up to that train of cars is following Lando Norris, not fighting Lando Norris. Now, as you can see, Verstappen's going to get the same Leclerc treatment from a lap ago. We get split three wide. Perez and Leclerc up into the top two. Alonso's right there, and myself and Norris, we're going to join the battle as well. You can see the battle's happening behind us. I mean, look at this absolute, we'll call it a wasp's nest. Lewis Hamilton currently runs P8 in front of Yuki Tsunoda. George Russell not looking great for Mercedes today. They're lacking pace, and Hamilton's really lacking pace now. Tsunoda goes around the outside. Here comes George Russell breezing past the seven-time world champion Carlos Sainz, who started down the order as well. Of the inside contact between the two. Hamilton way off the pace there as we continue on in P6. Lance Stroll just behind myself now, as he is starting to put some pressure on as well, and this is kind of where we're probably going to level off, is around P7 or so. Alex Albon going through now, making a pass on Kevin Magnussen, and they would continue side by side into turn 1, but Albon gets the exit out of turn 2. You want to be on that far outside, but speaking of overtakes, unfortunately, you know, our teammate of Albon, he's starting to go forward. I'm still going backwards. We drop down to P7. How about Carlos Sainz? Look at the relative. He has gotten through up into the top 10, passing Hamilton, passing Russell, Tsunoda as well. He's up into 8th place, and he's somehow managed to stretch out in front of that train of cars. So now he is on the way forward, as Albon's going to get another overtake at the end of lap 6 now, as Esteban Ocon in the Alpine has a bit of a moment, but there's battles happening all over the track here now. As you can see, I mean, just how slow everybody's going because of these battles right now, and the front two have managed to break away. Leclerc and Verstappen have driven away from Perez on back now. As you can just see, it's just absolute chaos. Hamilton's continuing to drop down to 14th now. As you can see, Piastri's scrapping it out with the likes of Ricciardo as well as Yuki Tsunoda. Piastri going to breeze around the Japanese driver, take P9 away, and here comes Ricciardo as well to follow through. It seems like the front car in that train of that second group is maybe wasting its battery, and then they tumble down the order. I think that's what we maybe saw with Lewis Hamilton a few moments ago here, but I mean, look at this. I mean, this is so stupid. We just continue to see these battles, and that has allowed Carlos Sainz to do this. He's closed in 3.5 seconds on this group of cars right here, with myself included, because they continue to do this battles, and the way Codemasters screwed up the AI, they just cannot get away from each other. So we're just stuck with this all race long, which is frustrating because it's just, this is not how Formula One works, and I just cannot believe, in my personal opinion, although this can actually be quite fun, I kind of expected Monza to be like this, and it was even similar to this in F123 before this issue was a thing. But I mean, someone's got to call Codemasters out. It's like no one even tested the game at times. I don't know how you fumble the bag that hard. But nonetheless, how about Alex Albon going around the outside of Zhou Guanyu? P15 as Hamilton is going to be his next target now. Albon's continuing to work his way forward, and it wasn't over. Here we are towards the end of lap 9 now. A move up the inside of the 7-time champ, and there you got Pierre Gasly in the Alpine just in front, and Albon's going to make this happen now, wheel to wheel with Hamilton, and he would get past him on the long run down towards turn 1. Clears him by the start finish now, and here he goes for a move on the Frenchman. Albon's on the absolute move, starting P20, and now he's gonna go into P13 and nearly up the inside even of Yuki Tsunoda. What a drive from Alex Albon, who's got tremendous speed, and I think showcasing the strength of the Williams this weekend now as Carlos Sainz shows the nose, and I was focused on him and not on the apex. We make a mistake and rejoin the track, taking no warning or no penalty, but he showed the nose, caught me off guard, and then I wasn't focusing in on the braking zone and just did that all on myself, and that caused me to lose the DRS. I was not within the 1 second, and immediately you would start to see it showing. I was starting to fall backwards 2.7 seconds, and it was kind of hovering around 2 seconds while they were continuing the battle in front of us. But you look at the track map, and it's a two-car runaway between Leclerc and Verstappen. Those two are quite simply going to fight for the win at the end of this Grand Prix, as Alex Albon's continuing to go forward in this massive 10-car train. Actually, it's an 11-car train. Albon forces Piastri out, and now Charles Leclerc at the end of this lap 12 is coming into the pit, so he's going for an undercut on Verstappen. It doesn't really matter, even if he does an undercut, because him and Verstappen are going to be stuck together for the remainder of this Grand Prix, but more cars are pitting. Yuki Tsunoda as well will be coming in at the end of this lap right here, lap 13. Max Verstappen now in, and as well it looks like Alonso, Norris, they are all pitting as well, and including myself. We're going to come in. There you see Carlos Sainz. How about Carlos Sainz? What a drive through the field. I guess that is one of the improvements we've seen out of the recent patch with the AI, is some of these cars are finding better opportunities to overtake and make their way forward. So we actually have an issue, unfortunately, with the right rear, and that's going to put us even more behind those cars in front. Verstappen, Leclerc, they're right together. Leclerc nearly runs into the back of Verstappen. They're going to be wheel to wheel into turn 1. Contact there between the current top two in the championship now. None of them get damaged. They escape that, but Leclerc gets with the position, takes what will be the eventual lead of the Grand Prix. Yellow flags in the background. That's, I believe, Hulkenberg. No, it's Kevin Magnussen in the Haas who's going to be pulling over. It's going to be day over for a Ferrari-powered car, at least now. As we continue on, we've made our pit stop, letting things, kind of settle out and focus in on, trying to make some time. Our teammate of Alex Albon, he's going to be coming in at the end of this lap. Sergio Perez is coming in as well, and many others, including George Russell. So it'll be interesting to see how everything's going to shake out here. I think pitting this 2 laps later than what we saw, like Leclerc, is really going to cost some drivers some time. But Leclerc and Verstappen now, P1, P2, a huge block thrown by Leclerc into turn 1. He's getting the elbows out in the home race for Ferrari. And what is he willing to do to win this Grand Prix? You see Albon look at the ground. He's lost by waiting a little bit longer to pit. Piastri and him 14th and 15th. Here comes Valtteri Bottas, who's going to make a big lunge around around the outside into turn 1, and that's going to allow Albon to at least maintain the position of 15th on the run down towards that second chicane. So Albon maintains at least P15, but the battle's up front still on. This time Verstappen goes through Leclerc, doesn't make it too complicated that time, and Verstappen to the lead on lap 16 is myself settling in here in P8. We had an issue on the right rear which slowed down our pit stop by a few seconds, and unfortunately my pace was not where it needed to be, and Yuki Tsunoda was running me down. He had escaped that train in the background, including the likes of Gasly, Hamilton, Ricciardo, Russell, Albon, all those guys, and he was quickly catching me, and it was the same lap 17 when he would get here. He's now within the DRS. I mean, that V-carb is absolutely flying right now, and here goes Tsunoda up my inside, breezes past me, the Japanese driver, into 8th as we drop down into P9, but I think unless we make a mistake, we should be able to hold on to that top 10 as we're going to go through the grid with 10 laps to go.
Max Verstappen breezes past Charles Leclerc on the run into turn 1. These two have been going back and forth and are going to continue to do so right to the end of this race.
Leclerc is driving mad these last few weeks, finally winning in Zandvoort. Now in position to win here in Monza. What a story it would be if he could do it again like 2019.
And there's his teammate Carlos Sainz defending over Fernando Alonso. What a drive from Carlos through the field today. He has been rumoured to be headed to Audi next year, as he will depart Ferrari for Lewis Hamilton on the way in.
He's got nothing signed yet, however. If I was Justin Marks at Trackhouse Racing, I'd be looking at Carlos as a great candidate to be a driver with experience to help bring a new team forward.
It's been rumoured they want Williams rookie Gary Owen on the team for next year, and last week and today would certainly be a good showing of what the young Canadian is capable of behind the wheel.
I'd love to see a pairing like Owen and Sainz. I think Gary could learn a lot from a guy like Carlos who has experience at a top team.
I guess only time will tell.
Alex Albon all the way at the bottom of the grid, and it was for this reason right here, a lockup in the final turn, and he drops all the way down into 19th place now. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc continue to go back and forth. They have a full 10-second advantage on the field as we go behind the camera now in these final 8 laps, actually passing Yuki Tsunoda, but him and I are just going to kind of continue to go back and forth now as we both try to reel in that train of cars from 3rd through 7th in front of us now, and you can see the back and forth. Here goes Tsunoda, lap 21, breezing past. We settle back in behind him, and this is working. We're just kind of going back and forth, kind of teamwork without being actual teammates now, but that's going to end because now Tsunoda locks up, and well, that will take him completely out of the picture, which should solidify an 8th place result, or maybe better, because they are battling up there in front of us, and of course when they battle, they slow each other down immensely, so we might have a chance to go run down that group of cars now, as it's actually Perez has gotten away from them as well, and Carlos Sainz is just not quite away from them yet. He is still in the DRS kind of range of that 7th, 6th, and 5th place cars. So Sainz is not safe at all as we just maintain P8. But now as we come to lap 24, Charles Leclerc with the DRS, he's going to now breeze past Max Verstappen, take the lead back now. The crowd wants to see a Ferrari win. Leclerc got his first win of the season last episode now, as Leclerc leaves no room for overtaking. Verstappen's going to have to stay back and stay put in 2nd place. Leclerc has been a total different animal on the racetrack today. He is showing what he is willing to do, blocking moments of contact. There's been a lot of aggression out of Charles Leclerc that you usually see from the opposite driver that he's fighting right now. Max Verstappen is now actually Alex Albon, where the mechanical failure is out of the Grand Prix here on lap 25.
Okay, Alex is out. Do not worry, we are okay to the end.
A bit of reassurance there from Mark as we are reeling in the cars in front. Stroll, Alonso as well, but 2 laps remain in. Verstappen with DRS breezing past Leclerc. Has he made the move at the right time? It's all going to come down to timing between these two drivers now, as we are just about within DRS with 2 laps to go. The cars in front, they've continued to battle it out, and that's opened the door for me to join the party, but that's not really the focus now. It's going to be a lot to be able to make a move on these guys, so the focus is Up front, Verstappen leads coming to the final lap of the Italian Grand Prix, but here comes Charles Leclerc with that rear wing about to open now. With the ERS, he's going to go left, he's going to back out. Verstappen blocks contact, he runs into the back of him. These two have gone at it all day long, but Leclerc is going to lead into turn 1. Verstappen lunges deep into the corner, but he's going to have the unpreferred lane through turn 2. Leclerc takes the lead as the crowd is going to absolutely love what they see next time around if Leclerc can hang on as they now come through towards the final DRS straightaway, and this is where it's going to get interesting. Verstappen with the run. Where's Leclerc going to go? Right in the middle of the track. He leaves the door just open enough for Verstappen up the inside. Wheel to wheel. Leclerc is ahead at the apex now, and that might be it. Hold on. Leclerc might still be vulnerable, and here comes Verstappen breezing past Leclerc, and he is going to absolutely shatter Ferrari's dreams of winning at home here in Monza. Now Max Verstappen, what a drive, and out of the final turn the Dutchman gets payback for last episode. No, he doesn't. Leclerc breezes past and Leclerc wins in Monza.
What the f happened, guys? The overtake wouldn't engage there.
You hear the two tails, the excitement from Leclerc, the heartbreak for Verstappen, who had it within the final meters, but for us it's going to be P8 in the Italian Grand Prix. Cannot complain about that. What a race, what a bunch of battles, and we get points. Alright boys, thanks for the hard work, great day again. P8, we'll take it. Yeah, I mean, qualifying kind of put us in that position.
Great day, Gary. You had that one slip up, but overall remained patient. Thank you.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory, he wins!
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course, Crofty. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
Leclerc goes from wondering, when is that first win of the season coming, to now going back to back with a win in Zandvoort, a win in Monza, and now focusing in on Azerbaijan in the next episode. That's where things are really going to get interesting. Of course, Baku a lot later on the calendar than what it has been for all the previous years it's been on the calendar, and I'm curious to see how that's going to go, because I think this track really suits our current Williams now with the high speeds and whatnot. We saw it today, and we saw Albon working his way forward until he made that mistake and of course had a mechanical failure right at the tail end of that Grand Prix. But I think next episode again is going to be an opportunity for us, and we continue to impress in these last couple of races. I mean, obviously qualifying set us up for a great day and getting us ahead of a lot of the cars, and if we would have qualified I think 15th, we probably, I don't think, would have even gotten points. Maybe we could have gotten like a P10, but no more. But yeah, 2 DNFs there with Albon and Magnussen, and qualifying proved to be everything this weekend, and we had an absolute masterclass of a qualifying effort. Leclerc cuts the gap down to 41 points. It's still game on as Verstappen starts to feel the pressure, and in the constructors as well, Red Bull will remain at the top as we have 39 points over Albon's 18, but 57 points the gap for Red Bull to Ferrari. I'll see you guys in the next one from Baku. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.